Okay. We share my screen. My screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have discussed this. The last we have discussed tag, right? Fine. We have completed up to tag locator. Okay. So after tag, we have a next locator called linked text. So in the name itself, we can able to judge how it will work. It is there is a text which is linked with a hyperlink. Okay. So that is called linked text. Linked text and partial linked text both are similar. Both are similar. The way of implementation is little bit vary. Both the concepts are same. I show you some example. So so here we have a elements like an input box and another one input box. It is a button. This is a linked text. See here when I'm hovering this, you can see in the bottom here you can see the URL where it will be redirecting. So when I'm hovering this, you can see the URL. So similarly, when I'm hovering the text, you can see there is an underline in the below. So those kind of elements are called linked text. The text which linked with a hyperlink. It is a button. So it is also linked text, but it is working as a button. This is all linked text. And here everything's are a linked text. I click inspecting the linked text. So you have to be very careful when you are trying to interact with the linked text. What are the things we need to be ensured? So always linked text should be under a tag. Okay, a tag is nothing but an anchor tag. The anchor tag, we have an attribute called href. It is nothing but hyperlink reference. Hyperlink reference. This attribute which is holding the URL, when we clicking the link, it is redirecting to the new page, right? That page link is predefined over in this attribute. So this hyperlink is directly linked to the text. That text you can see here, forgotten password. So this is a text. With this text, the URL has been linked in the backend. So that is why when we are clicking this text, it is redirecting to the respective link. And when you are trying to interact with the linked text, you have to be ensured that sometime there will be a text. Sometimes there will be a normal text also will be there. You can see here Facebook, and these statements are a normal text, which doesn't have a link. So that we need to ensure that whether we are interacting with the text is a linked text or it is a normal text. How we need to identify whether the linked text or normal text. Anyhow, when we are hovering manually, we can be able to identify that even though when we can see over here, always the linked text should be within the tag. So here we can see there is a div tag. This div tag, we have a child tag. That tag is called a tag. That a tag is holding the hyperlink and the text. Always the text should be inside to the a tag, which means that where the hyperlink reference has been predefined in the same tag or under the same tag, the text should be defined. If, for example, if it is defined out of the a tag, but within inside to the div tag, then the link doesn't work. The link doesn't work. That you need to ensure when you are trying to interact with the element or creating the code. Let's see how to create the code for the link text.
Hi, Ram.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Ram.
Yeah, tell me, Deepak.
Yeah, I want to share my screen once. Is that possible?
Yeah, can you tell me what is the doubt it is? But we are
Like,
in
I'm not,
something of middle.
no, like, I'm not getting the href link.
See, let me share this. I mean, it is already shared. You can see here. You can see here a tag, correct?
Yes.
Inside the a tag, there will be a hyperlink reference, h reference attribute.
Wait, okay, 1 second. I'm checking.
You got it?
Is this correct? Let me open.
You want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you sharing screen, Deepak?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it is loading. Yeah.
Mm,
You have there, right? Yeah,
this is
that is a link.
no for forgotten password. Where will I get this?
That you need to navigate correctly. I think you haven't navigated correctly, I guess. How you will interact with the element? How you will interact with the element? See, wait. So there is a way when you are trying to interact with the specific element, you have to navigate appropriately. Give me a
Okay.
control. I have given a request to you. Can you approve the request?
Yeah.
Okay. See, let's close this. So when you want to try to interact with this forgot password, first click somewhere in the body of that page, do the right click, inspect it. Then you have an option called the element. By using this, you have to navigate.
Okay. Okay.
So you should not randomly, move your cursor. It won't show you. Okay, because that is a purpose. We have this option in order to navigate this. Otherwise, we will get the incorrect element.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will share my screen. Okay, let me take the URL. Give me a minute. Opening the application. Driver.get. The syntax for the linked text is driver dot find element y dot linked text. Okay, it is a linked text. Comma, we need to say that text. What is that? What is a text here? It is a forgotten password. Okay, that it should be very case sensitive. So we need to pause the respective text here. So double click here. Copy this. Then you can. Then what is the action for this? When it is a link, we can able to only click it. So, sorry. Click it. That's it. So when this is for a normal link text, when you are supposed to use a partial link text, it should be the same syntax. It should be the same syntax. But instead of link text, we need to use a partial link text. Here there is no mandatory to provide the entire value. We can use some partial value of the exact text, some partial character or partial word. Okay, that should something to be matched with the respective text. That is what the partial link text. Okay, sometimes we can, in some scenario, we can use a partial text. Some scenario we have to use a link text. But when you are using a link text, that is mandatory. Those text should be matched with the web page. Okay, let me show you. Right, run this. Programs get initiated. Okay, so correctly it have clicked the respective link and it navigated to the URL which is predefined in the hyper reference attribute. Similarly, this is we have used a link text concept. In the same scenario, we can try with the partial link text as well. Okay. See, it is also redirected to the respective link by using the partial link text. So this is how we need to use the partial link text. Any doubt having with this concept, link text and partial link text? Fine. I am considering this as a no doubt. Let me move on to the next topic. So we have, okay, I have given exercise, right? Class name and name. Anyone tried with that? Any facing any challenges? Yes, no.
No.
Fine. I guess there is a no doubt. If you have any doubt or facing challenges to interact with the element, please let me know. Okay. So next topic we will be seeing about CSS selector. CSS selector. So what is CSS selector? So far we have seen the concept is the locator. It is a default locators. But CSS selector and the XPath are considering as a customized locator. We can able to customize the locators. So far we have seen we have directly using ID. or we can directly use a class or name or tag. Link text to partial link text. What are the value which is over in the web page? We are directly using for with that. I'm sorry. I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
My network. Yeah, my network does now. It got reconnected. Uh, okay. Now the concept we will be seeing about CSS selector. CSS selector is it is a combination of elements. So previously we have directly using either only ID or only class, only name, only tag, only partial text. But now we will be discussing about something combination of value to interact with the I'm sorry guys, sorry for the background noise from my end. For CSS selector, there is a combination we have. What are the combination we have in CSS selector? So tag, tag plus ID, tag plus class, tag plus attribute. So when we use this, these are customized locators. Customized locators. So sometimes we cannot able to directly interact with the ID, the other default locators. We cannot able to directly interact. If we trying to interact, we will end up with the exception, and it will be saying that unable to locate the element or unable to interact with the element, some kind of exception we will be facing. So in order to avoid that, we can use the CSS, or sometimes we will be end up with duplicate values by using the default locators. In the same value, we will be finding a duplicates. So in order to avoid that, we can specify more. We can specify only the unique value by using the CSS. Here we have a syntax when we are using a tag ID, tag a class, and a tag attribute. Let's see. Okay. We have a unique syntax for all the three cases. Okay, all the three cases. Okay, it is a tag attribute. Another one also we can tag plus class plus attribute. Okay, I'm giving this as an exercise and class also exercise. Okay, let's see. So there we have a syntax for all the cases. The syntax is main here. Okay, that is what I have referred now. Okay, because when we are using a incorrect syntax, it will end up with exception. Because the syntax makes different and telling to the driver we are trying to interact with the, because here when we are using here we are specifying that what type of the value we are providing. For example, if I'm using a value of ID, I will be specifying as a ID. But here we won't be doing like this. We will be only giving as a driver dot find element by dot CSS selector. So here we are not referring to the specific value, whether the value it is belongs to the ID or class or attribute. Then how the driver will be understanding that that value is belongs to the specific attribute. How? It is based on the syntax. Okay. So that syntax, it's a way. When we saying as a tag ID, tag and ID, the syntax should be as a tag name hash value of the ID. That is a syntax. Here, tag name is optional. Tag name is optional, but value of the ID is mandatory. Mandate. Without using the tag name also, the code which you have developed, it will work. But sometime we will be end up with the, if we are not using tag name, we will be end up with duplicate values. So to avoid that, we can specify the tag name. So for example, there is an ID. Okay, imagine that there will be a, sorry guys, tag. So for example, when there in the entire web page, we have an ID equal to, okay, ABC, which is coming under a div tag. Similarly, we have another ID. We have another ID having a ABC, but here it is not directly it is not coming into the div tag, but instead of div tag, it is coming into the style tag. For example, okay, for example. So in this scenario, if we are using only value of the ID, then we will be end up with the duplicate value. So in that case, we can more specify two in order to interact with the unique value. So we can specify the respective tag name. It makes the driver to understand or interact with the unique value very easily. Okay, that is why the purpose. If we are end up with the duplicate value, we can specify the tag name. But sometimes we may end up with same with the div tag and ID value also same. Then we should not go with the CSS selector. We have to go with some different ones that we will see in the later class. Okay, now remember that the syntax it is here is a hash. Hash makes the difference in order to understand by the driver. And tag name is optional. Value of the ID is a mandatory. Let's see the syntax here. Okay, let me try to interact with the email address. See here, it is a input tag. I will be going with the ID, right? What is the value of the ID here? It is email. So I will be specifying that input, that is a tag name, then hash, then what is the value of the ID here? Email. Email. That's it. Then what is the action here? It is an input tag, right? If it is an input tag, we need to pass something. So dot send keys and sending some random email ID at gmail.com. Similarly, driver dot find element. Okay, that will be. This is a one syntax. One syntax. And if you are not using input tag, we need to specify like this. Okay, we have to use hash and the value of the email, value of the ID. Okay, because tag name is optional here. If it is a tag name is optional, there is a mandatory we need to specify the hash, because hash telling to the driver that this value is belong to the attribute of ID. Okay, this both will work. Either one we can use it. Fine. So this is for a tag and ID. You can go with this as exercise, okay? Because this two combination, we will be using the tag plus class plus attribute. Let's see that example as well. Here. I will try to run the both the same time. It is a tag plus class plus attribute. In this scenario, driver.find element I.CSS selector. Now tag name. I will be trying to interact with the password here. Okay, password. What is the tag name it is here? It is a input. Input. Then the next one is a class. So when we coming into the class, the syntax is dot. Here we are using a hash. So here we can use as a hash in order to interact. Dot. Then we have to provide the value of the class. Do we have a class here? Yes, we have a class. Okay, class we have a value. What is the value here? It is from input to MPI. So remember that, okay, always when you are providing the value, okay, when you are providing the value, there should not be a space, because see here, this value, we having a multiple words. This is one word, this is one word, this is one word, this is one word, but in between we have a space. Sometime what will happen, if the value having a space, it won't work. Okay, because driver is not able to identify whether it is the same word or different word. It is not able to recognize. Sometimes you will end up with the error. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm not sure. There is some issues going on with the network. It's automatically restarting from my end. Okay. Tag name, value of the class. Then what is the syntax of attribute here? When we are saying attribute, we need to give a open bracket that is a square bracket, close square bracket. Inside that, we need to specify the attribute name and its value. Any attribute, okay, any attribute we can specify here. For example, I will be going with placeholder. Okay, placeholder. Placeholder value. What is the value here? Password, which is in the string data type. So we can provide you it is in the string data type password. So see here, this is a syntax when we are trying to interact with the tag, class, and attribute. Okay, so this is a tag name. See here the difference of syntax here. When we say the tag and the class, the syntax should be tag name, value of the class. Here we are referring the dot. Similarly, when we are saying as a tag and attribute, it is a tag name and with open and close bracket. I have given exercise, right? The exercise should be work out in this way. When it is a tag name, tag and class, your syntax is tag name dot class name, class value of the class. Similarly, if it is a tag attribute, the syntax will be tag name, open close bracket, attribute. We need to assign the value of the attribute. So this two syntax we have combined in here for the combinations of tag, class, and attribute. Okay, let's see. Let's try to run. And here the action, here the action is input box. So I'm trying to pause the password here, ABC. Okay. Let's try to run this program. See here, I can able to pass the value successfully user ID, but I end up with the error here. Okay, I'm closing this manually. See here, I end up with the error. Where the error it is? In line number 143. What is the line number 143? Here. See here, the error is highlighting. Error is highlighting here. There is a somewhere it is a error. So CSS selector, there won't be error because it is by default providing in the built-ins. There will be some error over here that we need to identify. As I said earlier, there should not be a space. There should not be space in the value because it cannot able to recognize. So what I will do, I will try to remove this. So you have to be very careful when the value having a space. You have to use the value without the space. Okay, see here we can use anything, whether we can use a input text or only underscore 55R1 or underscore 6L UI or underscore 9NPY, anything we can use. What I will be using, I will be removing this and I will be pausing the value only the input text. Remaining everything I will be trying to ignore it. And I will be giving as a attribute and its value. Okay, I will trying to run it one more time. See. Okay, so now it is working correctly. Whatever the username I have provided, it is passed, and whatever the value I have given, it is using send key. I can able to pass a value over in the password. Okay, so this is how the CSS selector is working. Okay, it is a combination. In some time we will be using CSS selector. Okay, any doubt with the CSS selector concept? Yes, no. Please give me some reply.
No, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your. Yeah. Then finally, we will be seeing about the concept XPath. Okay. Something is important than other locators. So in the real time, most of the time we will be using the concept XPath only in order to interact with the elements. What is meant by XPath? Interview point of view, there will be some question. Be sure with XPath from the topic of XPath. XPath is nothing but it is a XML path. It is a XML path. XPath having a two different types of path we have. One is absolute XPath. Absolute XPath, or we can say it is a ABS XPath or full path. Another one is a relative XPath, or we can say it is a partial XPath. So here we need to understand both how it is working, why we require this, and what makes the XPath is very more important. That concept we need to understand. In interview point of view, we need to create manually the absolute XPath and relative XPath as well. And anyone. Okay. So what is meant by absolute XPath? What is meant by absolute XPath? As I said, absolute XPath is a full path. Okay, absolute XPath, the full path. When we always absolute XPath will be starting from root node. That is very, very important. Okay, that is mandate. Always absolute XPath will be starting from the root node. What is mean by root node? From HTML tag. From here, from the initial itself, it will navigate. For example, if you want to interact with something in the bottom, you have to navigate from the top. From the each node. Node is nothing but tag. Okay. The tag we have, right? We have a div tag, style tag, form tag. Sometimes we will be saying it's a more technically as node. Okay. So absolute XPath always start from the root node and navigate to the each node in order to interact with the final element. Okay, the target element. It doesn't have a duplicate. It doesn't have a duplicate. Always we have a end up with only one XPath, only one value. By creating the XPath, we won't end up with the duplicate values. Only always we will be getting with the unique values. Then most of the time, as a developer point of view, we won't use absolute XPath. Okay, we won't use absolute XPath because your program makes slow. Absolute XPath makes your program slow in order to interact with the XPath. Why it is making your program slow? Because it always starts from the root node. Always Just remember that when we hit the run button for automation, the driver, we have an object called a driver, right? That driver will be finding the element from the top in the DOM structure. I think I have discussed about the DOM structure in the previous class, right? Did I explain to you about the DOM structure?
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, in the DOM structure only, the driver will be navigating and interacting with the element. So, when we are, for example, I am trying to create a XPath for this link. So I'm doing the right click, copy. I have a full path. This is the absolute XPath. I'm copying this. See here. Okay. See here. I said it always starts from the root node. Okay. It always starts from the root node. That is an HTML tag. When we are using the absolute XPath, the driver will be starting from here and it will be navigating to body. Next div, it will be navigating and it will be moving to all the tag. Finally, only it will be reaching to this A tag. What will happen in this scenario? It need to navigate, right? This navigation time will take some time. That time makes your program slow. Imagine that in your program, most of the elements are you are interacting using with absolute XPath. Then what will happen? Your entire program will make slow because the driver will be interacting with all the elements always. It will be jumping to everywhere, one by one by one by one. So that makes your program slow. In the future, for example, I'm using a forgotten password. Okay. Currently, in this website, the forgotten password is something under below of the login button. But imagine that if it in the future, the forgotten password something not here, it is moved to over in the top left side. Imagine top left side or somewhere in the place of this web page, not here. Then what will happen? This path will vary. We cannot able to use this path. Whenever you are doing the program, your program should be always a dynamic. It should not be static. That remember always. Okay. Your program should work. Whenever anything is changing, your program should be work. We should not touch our program. That is the way the program should be implemented. That is why the program is called as we are expecting as a dynamic program. And remember that I'm giving some tip when you are doing a development. The development program should be always dynamic program. And it should be loosely coupled. Okay, loosely coupled program. This is very, very important when in the development aspect. If it is not there, then your program is we cannot say your program is good enough to run the program or use for the development. Even though your program is working correctly without any error. Okay, there are certain rules are there. Even though your program is working correctly, that procedure, that expectation we need to maintain in our development. Otherwise, that program will not work in your project. Your either team leader or manager will request you to remove the program to alter the program. Because some of the company, they having some tool, that tool read your program and they will give the points. Okay, points in the sense, it will read you have to upload your program to that application. It will read your program and it will return points out of 100. For example, out of 100, you are getting 65. Even though your program is working correctly. When we are seeing that it is working very fast, but it is giving only 65%, but the expectation should be above 80. Above 80. What that tool will do, it will be seeing this all the concepts, whether your program is dynamic program, it is loosely coupled, it is following all the expectations in order to run your program very fast. Those are all the concepts it will be reviewing and it will be providing the output. Not all the companies, some companies, they will be using this in order to maintain their program, because that may be a client expectation. Okay, most of the companies, not most of the companies, it is a minimal. Okay, but even though if the application is not there, there will be a one person will be there. That person is called a scrum master or maybe team leader. They will be reviewing your code before giving the approval. They will be returning your code to you if it is not maintaining. Okay, so these all the things are expected apart from the code development. Okay, then coming into our point. See, absolute XPath is a very long path. If it is a long path, the navigation and automation take place very long time. Very long time. See here, this is for absolute XPath. The same link when I'm trying to use with a relative XPath. The same link, I will try to create a relative XPath. Copy XPath. This is a relative XPath. It will be relative XPath always. Relative XPath. It always very short. Very short. It doesn't start from root node. It always start with double backslash. Double backslash. See, in the same link, it have a duplicates. It may have a duplicates. Then it may have a duplicates. Another important point I forgot that. What is that? Most of the programmer prefer this. Okay, prefer only relative XPath. Relative XPath. I missed that. Some other important point there. Okay, see here, this is a path which we are trying to interact. Here always we have only one path to interact with the single element. But when we coming into related XPath, we may have a multiple path to interact with the single element. That is a benefit here. And here, see, the path is very, very short. It makes your program very fast. What driver will do? It will directly look for the value with the attribute over in the difference. See the difference. When we are using a CSS selector for attribute, we are also using open bracket, close bracket. Here we are using attribute name and its value. But here also we have used the same, but the difference is here we are using annotation symbol. Here we haven't used the annotation symbol. Both are attribute. It is attribute and its value. This is also attribute and its value. See the difference. When it is coming in the XPath, it have an annotation symbol. Okay, but when it is in the C, should not use an annotation symbol. If we are using annotation symbol, then we will end up with the error, because that is a syntax makes that CSS selector. This syntax telling that it is a XPath annotation. I mean the XPath. I can say the syntax of that XPath, because Git will makes the driver to understand what type of the locator we are using. Okay. As I said, it is a short. It does not start from the root node. It always start with double backslash. What is meant by double backslash here? What is meant by double backslash? See here, I will show you the this ID is an attribute and its value. Where it is taken from? Where it is taken from? It is taken from this A tag. See here, always 99% what you supposed to do when you have creating a locator, you have to find out some attribute value from the respective tag, and you have to try to interact with that. So this is the A tag, right? See here, A tag, we have a attribute called ID, and it's a value having something u_0_6. Okay, we can see here. See here, ID is having some value. This value is directly using for the relative XPath. So what is meant by star and double backslash? Wherever we are using double backslash, it's supposed to saying that, imagine that from here, from the root node up to this div3, it is not there. Then what it will be? It will be double backslash. It is saying that I am ignoring the rest of the values. The rest of the whatever the values which is coming from the root, I am ignoring that. That is what it means. If you want to ignore anything, we can use a double backslash. That is what it means. And star. Star is nothing but there we supposed to use a tag name. There we supposed to use a tag name. Okay. Here it is a tag. So we can specify as a here. More specifically, if you are not knowing that what, if you don't want to go with the tag name, then you can go with star. Sometimes when we are using SR, we may end up with duplicates because we are using double backslash, right? So if any other tag having the same attribute and the same value, then we may end up with the duplicates. So in order to avoid that, we can specify the tag name also. So always prefer to interact with the element, the target element. Always we need to interact with the attribute and its value from the target element. That is what more preferable. That makes your program very fast. If the target element doesn't have an attribute, or we may end up with the duplicates. For example, I'm saying, okay, in this we are trying to interact with the A tag. A tag we having a H reference attribute, and we have an ID attribute and web process anchor attribute and some text. Imagine that there won't be, but for for understanding purpose, I'm saying sometime we may have a same tag name, all the attributes, whatever we having here, it having a duplicate over in the different tag name. Or in the same tag name, we may having all the duplicates. Whatever the value we are trying to interact, it is end up with some duplicates. In that scenario, what we can do, we can ignore this A tag. What we need to jump one step backward. We need to try to interact, try to fetch the attribute and value from the respective div3. What is meant by div3 here? This is a div3. This is how it is saying the div3. This is okay. So in the form class, we have a div1, div2, div3. In this div3 only we having a tag. This div3, from this div3, what we need to do? Give me a minute, guys. Sorry. Sorry. So what we need to do, we need to move one step backward and we need to identify the parent element. From the parent element, we need to take any one attribute. Okay, we can create, I will create that. Okay, I will create that. What we supposed to do, if it is a duplicate, for example, if it is a duplicate, what we can do, create, I will creating another element like double backslash. I will specifying get div, or it may be a star. Okay, it depends on. Then I will be saying it. Okay, I will be more specifying here. Div. That's simple. I want to specify the attribute name, class. Class. What is the value for this class? We need to copy this, paste it. From there, we need to navigate to our expected element. Okay, this is the element we are expecting to interact, right? We need to navigate to that element. So see here, when first option is we need to use the respective element. From there itself, we need to try to interact. If we end up with the duplicates, then one step backward from the respective div, we can create an attribute value. From there, we can navigate to the respective element. If we have this is also duplicate, then again one step back forward. Likewise, we need to, if obviously maybe we have a duplicates here, but if it's a third or fourth tag, there won't be duplicates. 99% we won't end up with duplicates here itself. Okay, likewise, if we have, for example, saying, okay, if we have a duplicates, we need to skip it. We need to, from any one tag, we need to identify the attributes and its value. From there, we need to navigate. For example, if I'm having a duplicates everywhere here, then I need to do what I need to. I need to, from the div here, from there I need to div. I need to say the attribute and its value. Then from there, I need to navigate. So that is why we are saying for relative XPath, we have a multiple path to interact for the single element. There is a multiple way. Okay, multiple way of paths to interact with the single element. Here also we may end up with the duplicates. That is why we are creating a multiple paths. But most preferable always, we need to directly interact with the respective element, create the path. Okay, So this is how, this is the difference between relative export and absolute export. Okay. Until here, any doubt? Okay. If you have no doubt, we can wind up the class today. I will be taking how to create manually the absolute export and relative export. That is very, very important. I'll be taking that in the next class tomorrow. Okay. Then we can move forward accordingly. Fine. Try to do the exercise and try to create some program in the export. If you are facing any challenges, don't ask me in the next class. Okay. Let me take the attendance. Totally, we have 15 today.